Welcome back to another refreshing episode of the Franchise Happy Hour, where we dive deep into the world of franchising, sip on success stories, and toast to entrepreneurial dreams. I'm your host, Dylan DeGroat. Today, we have a true franchise expert in the house. Please help me extend a warm welcome to William Huffhine, the president of Quantum Franchise Group, a driving force partnered with the Franchise Brokers Association. But that's not all. William's also the host of a popular podcast, The Quantum Business Briefs, where he explores franchise opportunities with the founders themselves and even the brand developers. So it's a double treat today, folks. Grab your favorite libation, whether it's a classic cocktail, a smooth glass of wine, or even a mocktail, and settle in for an enlightening conversation. William, welcome to the Franchise Happy Hour.
Dylan, this is like the third or fourth time I've been able to hang out on camera with you, and it just gets better every time. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on here. I really appreciate, you having me on your podcast and everything. So, hey, whether you are a franchise enthusiast, a budding entrepreneur, or just someone who's curious about finding out more of the franchising world, this episode is for you. So let's jump right in to this exciting universe of franchising. All right, William. Well, hey, thanks a lot again. It was an absolute pleasure getting an opportunity to be on the Quantum Business Briefs. That was a really cool experience for me. So I appreciate that. And we'll jump right in here, man. So, how's your, let me start out by saying this. What are you sipping on anything this afternoon here on this 5 p.m. time frame?
Man, I almost forgot. I was sitting here sipping on my cup of water, and I thought to myself at about 2 minutes until 5 o'clock, I thought, what the heck am I doing sipping on water? I'm supposed to be having a cold beer with my buddy Dylan. So yeah, I got my nice little Dos Equis lager here. It's my beer of choice.
There you go. I'm sipping on a little Miller Lite here. I'm basic as it comes. I like Miller Lights and Yetis. So
all right,
maybe we'll catch a sponsorship at some point. But no, happy to have you. So cheers to you, brother.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
So let's start off by, just talking a little bit about your experience in franchising. How'd you get started? And kind of talk to listeners, run them through that roller coaster of, prior to franchise consulting and what led up to it.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to. So I spent about 30 years in the corporate world, building empires and building fortunes for other people. And in 2019, I decided, you know what, I'm 50 years old, and that's enough. It's time for me to start building something for myself and stop working for all these corporate yahoos around the country. So I retired from the media industry in 2019, started building my own businesses. I was already about a year into building a very successful independent car rental business. From there, I bought a travel agency franchise, and that was my first exposure to franchising. Now, of course, everybody's eating at a McDonald's, and we've all been customers at franchises our whole lives, but that was my first experience really understanding what franchising is, buying a franchise, being a franchise owner. So I went on to run my car rental business, my travel agency franchise. I started a business coaching practice, which very quickly grew to almost 2,000 aspiring and current business owners that retained me as their coach to help them either start or scale their businesses. And then in early 2022, I was invited by the company who I owned the travel franchise with to come and join their franchise development team as a franchise development manager. I had no clue what I was doing. I'd bought a franchise before, but I'd never sold a franchise or coached anybody on franchising. So, but I learned very quickly, and it was a great experience for me, learning the whole world of franchising from the other side of the wall, and was successful at opening close to 90. It was somewhere between 85 to 90 franchise units in about 18 months.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So I was about a year into that, a little over a year, and I got one of these annoying unsolicited LinkedIn messages from some stranger stranger asking me, making a statement. They said, "Hey, your profile indicates that you would make an outstanding franchise broker. Have you ever considered being one?"
Mhm.
And I looked at it and I just ignored it, like I do 15 other unsolicited LinkedIn messages every day. And then the message came again, and then another message, and I just by about the third message, I was starting to get curious, and I was thinking, what the hell's a franchise broker anyway? I don't even know what this is. So I Googled it, and that's when the light bulb went off in my head. I realized that a franchise broker is, I was basically doing the job, but I was doing it representing one brand with one industry.
Yep.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to check this out. So I responded. I said, sure, send me a link to set up a call.
Mhm.
We finally got on a phone call together with the Franchise Broker Association. And I went through the whole process of discovery and due diligence and validation and all the things that you do as a franchisee. And I thought, man, this is amazing. Instead of representing one brand in one industry, I can represent 800 brands in 40 industries and help a whole lot of people make the dream of business ownership a reality. So went through that whole startup process. And in May of 2022 is when I opened Quantum Franchise Group and began helping folks with amazing franchises like Joshua Tree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's I love that, man. I love that you've experienced exactly what you're taking clients right now through that process. And I think that that is just such a key part of understanding and being in their shoes that, not every consultant has or, broker has been through that. Some of them just kind of fall into this and it's like, well, that's a really good opportunity and I can work for myself kind of a thing. But I love when I talk to someone and they've been in that industry, they've been through that process. I love that FBA does a real interesting way of actually putting you through that validation process, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. I thought that was pretty unique. I don't know if every group does that, but I recently spoke to another individual and he did the same thing, and I was just impressed by that because it gives you firsthand experience to what your candidates are going to be going through. So I love that. I think that's a really cool thing that FBA does.
Yeah. Great organization. I couldn't be happier being a part of them.
Absolutely. As you're going through this process, what's inspiring you to keep the passion going in franchising?
Every time someone says to me, it comes back to me and says, Bill, you helped me change my life by helping me open a business and do the same thing you did, get away from the whole corporate nonsense that I've been going through for decades, or to stop working at a job I hate, or to just make a shift to begin building generational wealth, building something for my family, for myself on my own terms. It's the feedback that I get from people whom I've helped that really energizes me to just want to help more people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, what's cool is that you're just going to keep building that. As you get more and more clients and you're talking to more people, you're going to start understanding all kinds of different situations. And it's just a special experience to be a part of franchising. I've only been doing franchising since February now. Gosh, I gotta say, it's been a wild ride. It's been super fun. And I'm sure you have a pretty similar experience with, you said that you started in May of 2022 with FBA.
That's when I opened. I finished up all my work, my training certifications, et cetera, and opened up. It was in the end of May. Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to start? Are you gaining that comfortability? Where are you at with that?
Yeah. And let me back up just a minute. It was May of 23, not 22, May of 23,
Gotcha.
just this year that I opened Quantum Franchise Group. So, but I had the advantage of being able to come into this with a year and a half and 90 successful franchise opens under my belt. So when I opened Quantum Franchise Group, I just changed the script. It's the same work, it's the same conversations, it's the same processes. It's just a much bigger world that I get to operate in now. So I was comfortable from day one, and really starting to get some traction. Now, this, as you know, this is This is a long play. This isn't
Yeah.
something where you work hard this week and you get the payday next week and you're, in your paycheck. This is a long play where you're walking people through typically a 1 to 3 or even 3 to 6, sometimes 6 to 12 month process. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, getting very good traction, built my client database up to about 360 people in my database right now who are at some point of exploring franchising. A lot of those folks will never move forward, but I
Mhm.
do have a nice group of people who are actually in the process, various stages of the process of becoming a franchisee in the next month or two.
Very cool. Nice. That's awesome. I know it's hard to grab that traction right off the bat. So it sounds like you are doing, I mean, you're doing everything right. I just want to let you know that. I think, just by talking to you in the past, you're out there on LinkedIn, you're actually, doing podcasts, doing video casts, connecting with brands, right? I think that is such a cool part that not every consultant does that. So I just want to give you some props there. I think you're doing it the right way. And so I appreciate that very much, especially from a brand's perspective.
Well, thank you. And it's refreshing to hear that from someone after 30 years of bosses saying, you're doing it all wrong.
That's yeah, yeah. So what were you said you were in prior to franchising altogether, you were in media, you said, right?
Yeah, most of my career has been spent in the media industry, print and digital media, on the audience and consumer revenue side of the business. So I've worked at one time or another, I've worked for most of the largest newspaper companies in the United States in various locations around the country. So that was the biggest chunk of my career. Before that, I was in retail management. I did take a 4 month sabbatical.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, a 4 year sabbatical. Let me get that. Yeah, 4 years. And did a lot of humanitarian work,
Good for
both,
you.
here in the country and overseas. But yeah, that's my career journey.
That's incredible. I love that, man. That's really cool. What was your favorite memory, doing some of those trips as far as like humanitarian work? What was a favorite memory that you have from that?
Yeah, I have a favorite and a not so favorite. Can I share them both?
Absolutely, you can. This is the franchise happy hour. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and the more of this beer I have, maybe the more I want to do. So, but no, the favorite is the easy part. So I made 5 different trips down to Bolivia,
Mhm.
um, the same rainforest village, and spent time for 5 summers
Yeah.
helping build what's called an internado. And that is a boarding house for school children who lived way out in the Amazon. They
Wow.
were too far away from the town to come in and get an education. So
Mhm.
I partnered with an organization to build a campus with a boarding house where kids could come in from the rainforest villages through the week, live there Monday through Friday, go to the public school, get their education, help lift them
Wow.
up out of poverty and even out of some pretty abusive situations.
Wow.
And that was just an amazing experience for me, being able to go back for 5 different summers to really work on that. I'm still
Mhm.
Facebook friends with some of those kids who are now adults with kids of their own, and that's really
Yeah.
meaningful. So
That is so cool.
yeah, just truly life-changing experiences every time that I went down there. My least favorite memory,
Yeah, I got to hear this one.
oh man. So we were supposed to go back to Bolivia one summer, and the country was in a real crisis. They was on the brink of civil war. There was a whole bunch of civil unrest. It was a little too dangerous for it to go. So at the last minute, they moved our team to Quito, Ecuador,
Mhm.
where we were going to go to one of the outlying impoverished areas outside the city and work on building a network of daycare centers, which were safe harbors for street children
Okay.
to have hot meals, be in a safe environment, etc. So my very first day in the country, we go to the work site, we're working, we're sweating. I mean, it's just a really rough day. We get on the
Mhm.
bus, we come back. I'm walking with 3 or 4 other people, and we're walking up to our hotel, and all of a sudden, this swarm of teenage kids comes and surrounds us.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I had done everything right. I followed the
Yeah.
rule book. I had a fanny pack with my wallet in the fanny pack on the front, under a shirt, under a jacket that was buttoned up.
Oh, wow.
And these kids surrounded us and they're waving stuff in our faces, trying to get us to buy these little trinkets. And actually they were distracting us so that they could mug us.
Yep.
And finally we shooed we got the kids to leave. They ran off, and my friends went up to the hotel, and I said, I got to go around the corner to the phone place and and call home. And as I'm walking there, I reach in my fanny pack and it's open and everything is gone. All my cash, credit cards, driver's license, social security card.
Oh my gosh.
There's for the last, 20 years or so, there's been some Ecuadorian kid running around down there calling himself William Huffhine with my credentials. So that was a pretty traumatic experience. It's one thing when something like that happens on the last day and you're going home, but for that to happen on the first day was very unpleasant.
What an introduction to a country, whereas you said that was it was a separate time that it wasn't your first time down there, was it?
No, it was like my fifth time in South America, but it was my first time in Quito, Ecuador. So
gotcha. That's what yeah. I mean, those little pickpocketers, they really hit you. Somewhere down there, maybe William Huffine's also selling franchises currently in South America.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a whole network of franchised cartels.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love that. Well, hey, thank you very much. That's a really great story. I think the listeners will definitely, appreciate not only how much you've put into helping other people, but maybe they'll resonate with that. That's something that they've done maybe. So, hey, that'll be a good connection for you if someone comes through with that. So I know when you started in the franchising world, you were doing what I do. You were developing a brand. And then you transitioned into this role, whether it was as you were a brand developer or, as a franchise consultant. Do you have a favorite, memorable candidate that you worked with that maybe they're, really successful now? And they're just, it was spot on, right? There was something about them that every time you're getting down in the dumps, you're not sure if you're going to make it. This is the person you kind of call them. Maybe sometimes you think about their opportunity, how you changed their life. Who is that? You don't have to say their name, but
Sure.
Do you have a situation to share?
I absolutely do. And it's the very first franchisee that I signed with this company. So, I started as a franchise development manager with this company, and it was a little slow going when I started. I started in March. And for those of you who don't understand that or who aren't familiar with the franchise world, there's typically a period, at least for the company that I worked for, there's a period at the end of Q1, beginning of Q2, where you kind of go into a stop sell with or a pause with some of the states because you have to submit a new franchise disclosure document every year. It has to be approved by the states, and some of those states take a long time. And so you kind of go into a pause, and the sales slow down. So I started working for this company right as that was happening.
Right.
So, about my first 6 weeks in, I hadn't, closed any franchises yet. And I was starting to feel discouraged. And finally, these folks, they went the distance with me. We got them opened up, and I got to go to their training. I met them at training, and just a wonderful husband and wife out in Arizona. I got to go on national conference with them. We spent a week on a cruise together, and I got to loan my shampoo to the guy because he left his at home. But I mean, these are just amazing people. And here's the good part: they're killing it with their franchise. Sometimes despite our best efforts as franchise development people, sometimes we bring people into the brand and they have a little bit of a difficult time. They don't get the traction, or maybe they're not giving it the focus that they need to be giving it, and they struggle a little bit. These folks, my very first ones, these folks just hit the ground running. And just like you said earlier about how in your opinion, I'm doing everything right. These folks started doing everything right, and they started nailing it. And so I get to see them on social media every day, just out there killing it with their franchise. So that's my favorite story. Yeah.
That's incredible. I love that, man. I mean, it's always great to hear, and cheers to some success. So cheers to them for sure.
Cheers
Absolutely.
to them. Yeah.
Cheers. Take a little sip there. But no, I love hearing the stories because it gives, whether you're a listener or even just me right now sitting here, it gives me hope that, hey, it doesn't matter how things seem right now, you're gonna help somebody, right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you're that person out there looking for it and you're feeling down in the dumps, hey, there's a way to get into this world. And it's really starts with you connecting with William right here. It's such an excellent opportunity to be able to provide, future business owners with a path to get there without
Yeah.
doing it by themselves, right?
Yeah.
What's your process when you're working with a candidate? What's your process of actually, looking at what they're interested in and then ultimately finding something that you want to send them?
Yeah. So my process begins with my core value. And what I say to I have it all over my website, all over my socials, every piece of marketing material I send out, um, says that we take a integrity first approach to helping people open up a franchise. And here's what I mean by that. There are some of my colleagues out there in the franchise brokerage world who are they're focused on the commissions, and they
Mhm.
present the brands with the highest commissions, and that's where their focus is.
Mhm.
We all want to make money. I'm not slamming anybody for wanting to make money, but my approach is to focus on what is best for my client. And one
Mhm.
of the things that I do, I don't, there's probably other brokers out there, particularly in the FBA, where we have a very high bar of ethics. But
Mhm.
one of my own personal disciplines is I don't even look at my commissions. So for those of you who may not know what we're talking about here, franchise brokers like myself, we do all of our work for our clients for free. All of our coaching, everything we do
Mhm.
with you is free. But we are compensated by the franchisor at the finish line. Whenever we help you open up your franchise, that's when we're compensated a commission for helping you. So, but my own personal discipline is I don't even look at the commissions
Yep.
until I have a candidate who says, I want to pursue this brand. So that's my own way of putting them first. So my
Yep.
process, I always have a discovery call with them in the beginning. We talk for about 15 minutes just to figure out what's your why. Okay, why
Yep.
are you wanting to open up a franchise? Before we figure out how, we need to understand why to make sure we're
Yep.
going down the right path in the right way. What's your financial position? What are your interests and passions? And one of the unique questions that I ask people, and I'm guessing some other brokers probably do this as well, is I do ask them, what kind of business can you envision yourself being the owner of, and what kind of industries are you excited about? But I take that a step further, particularly if they're struggling. And, I explain to them, I don't want to help you invest a whole lot of time, energy, and financial resources into creating another job for yourself that you're just going to grow to hate 2 or 3 years down the road.
Right. Yep.
So you told me what industries you're interested in. Now I want you to tell me, what do you love to do for fun when you're not working? What
Yeah.
activities do you do? What's your recreation? What is your entertainment? Because,
Mhm.
man, the best case scenario in my book is if you can own a business and make a very comfortable living, very lucrative living, doing the things that you love to do.
Mhm.
So, we try to figure all that out in our 15-minute discovery call. I then invite them to take a self-assessment, which is called the Spot On Business Builder Assessment, which tells me all about their values, their competencies, their management approach, what kind of company culture they're a great fit for.
Mhm.
Um, then I get all of that information back, and then I begin doing my research to pull together 8 to 10 brands
Okay.
for them to take a look at. We do about a 45-minute Zoom call where we go through each one, do a
Mhm.
30,000-foot overview, watch a little video about each one. And the goal there is to come out of that meeting with one or two or three
Right.
that they're really excited about.
Mhm.
And then that's where we make the introduction to you guys for you to pick up the ball and run from there.
All right. Yeah. I mean, hey, I love that process. I love that you are also putting some of your experience from the development side into it by asking those additional questions, not just like, hey, tell me what industries are you interested in working in? And then just saying, all right, here's the 10 that work in that. You're going that step further. You're putting in the time. I know that that's really important to us and I love that you talked about your values, right? I think that that's such a important part in franchising that maybe not everybody is actually doing out there in the franchise world, is finding individuals like candidates who mesh with the corporate values, or, you know, the company's culture, the company's values, because all of these brands, like everybody, they have, you know, a type of culture at their company now. And
Right.
that's what's successful. So how do you replicate that? Well, you replicate it by, well, if this person was looking for a job, I would absolutely hire them. So this is who I want. I would love for this person to run our company, right? And be a franchisee. And I just think that that's such a special experience. So I love that you put that in there too.
Yeah, and my relationship with my client doesn't stop when I hand them over to you folks. I coach them through the entire process. So,
Yeah.
you know, whenever you're delivering the franchise disclosure document, I'm coaching them on how to read it and how to interpret it and what are the important points. I'm coaching them on how to prepare for validation calls to franchise owners. I'm coaching them on how to prepare for founders calls and discovery days. And so I'm with my clients all the way up through award day, the day that they're awarded with franchise. And it doesn't stop there. My commitment is, when possible, is to show up at their place on grand opening day and raise a toast with them. So
I love the sound of that. That is so
yes.
cool. Oh man, that reminds me of our new thing. You know, we're gonna burn all the suits and ties in a bonfire when
Yes.
we sign franchisees. That's our goal.
Love it.
We take those corporate two suits and ties off. No more of that business. We're gonna have a nice little barbecue, and
That's right.
your old suits are gonna be the fire that feeds our bellies, basically.
Mhm.
But anyway, no, that's really cool. I love that. I think that that's very special too. I don't think, you know, a lot of brokers would probably be like, well, hey, congratulations, see you later. You know, let me know if you want to buy another franchise. So, you
Right.
know, definitely you're going an extra step, and hopefully the listeners can definitely you know, pick that up. Um, you know, I got a couple more questions here. I definitely wanted to, you know, just talk about and just get your opinion on, really. And,
Right.
you know, in your opinion, what do you think are some common, you know, misconceptions that people have about franchising, and how do you address those when you're talking to candidates?
Yeah, there's two that come to mind. One misconception that I think people have is they think that franchising is only for the rich and wealthy. You know, I have to be loaded. I have to be, you know, have $1 million in the bank or something like that to own a franchise, and that is just not the case at all, man. I mean, there are some franchises out there where you are, you know, you do need to invest a lot of money, but I have so many franchise systems in my inventory that you can get into all in for under 100 grand, you know, some of them even under 50 grand. So franchising is not just for the rich and wealthy. It's for just common everyday folks who have a decent credit score, have a little bit of liquid cash in the bank. Um, you know, it's wide open.
Yeah.
So that's one common misconception. Another one that I come across is folks tend to have somewhat of a consumer mentality when they think about a franchise. They think, I'm just going to go buy a franchise. And I posted something on LinkedIn yesterday. I created this little meme with that picture from Lord of the Rings that one does not simply buy a franchise.
That's awesome.
So
That's
you know,
awesome.
you're these franchise companies, they're not here to sell you a franchise. Okay?
Right.
Like a used car salesman is there to sell you a car, or you know, franchising is a privilege.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just for the rich and wealthy, but it is a privilege to be awarded a franchise. And that's exactly the key word there, award. Okay.
Yeah.
We have to stop thinking about buying and purchasing.
Mhm.
It is an award. You go through a very stringent process
Yeah.
to demonstrate that you are the kind of person that this franchise company absolutely wants on their team for the
Yep.
long haul, because you're going to do an amazing job representing their brand in your community. So,
Mhm.
you know, occasionally I've had some candidates get a little frustrated that they just can't plop down some cash and buy a franchise without going through the process. And it's
Yeah.
very important to respect the process, both my
Mhm.
process and the franchisor's process, because we're trying to get you to the finish line of winning a race, winning an award, standing
Yeah.
on a podium with a trophy in your hand.
Yeah.
So those are the two that come to mind.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're 100% right when you talk about they are a a representation of that brand, and the brand, they develop themselves and they're successful for a reason. No one just, you know, really creates a company, sees a little bit of success and says, well, I might as well franchise it, right? There's a lot of money that goes into developing,
Yeah.
the FDD, the attorneys that you work with. There's a ton of money that goes into the back end of being able to market your business as a franchise concept. So it's not something that companies take lightly. It's something that they invest a lot of time. Some invest a lot more than others, obviously, and that's why they're successful. But I saw on LinkedIn somebody posted, I think it was Aaron Harper. I don't know if you're with him. He's with Rolling Suds. He actually
Mm.
posted a thing about basically just like what you just said, right? Hey, it's not a sense of, I'm gonna give you this money and you're gonna give me this franchise, right? It's all about the relationship, and it's about the marriage, that it's really, and I feel like I say this every time I'm on this podcast now, but it really is. It's a marriage, it's a partnership. You can't just expect to hand over money and them just feed you everything. You have to work hard. You
Yeah.
really do have to work hard at this. And the franchisors, and this is just in my experience and in my opinion, the franchisors who are just saying, yep, we'll take anybody who walks through the door, probably not going to be as successful. They're going to be hitting some hard times in,
Yeah.
maybe you can get by year 2, 3, 4, but year 5, you're going to start noticing some stuff if you haven't
Yeah.
already. So I think that's super important. So great point there. Definitely agree with those misconceptions as well. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
You bet.
If you were to provide some advice, right? If I'm a candidate and I'm nervous, right? I'm nervous. Like I don't know if I'm right for business ownership. I've never really looked at, you talked about FDD. I don't even know how to spell FDD. How do I get into franchising? What advice would you give to someone who's considering entering the world of franchising for the first time?
Yeah. Well, my first bit of advice would be make sure you understand your why. We talked about this earlier. Have a real clear understanding of why you're wanting to do this. But from there, take a deep breath and relax. You've probably heard people say over the years that starting a business is just too risky. Way too many of them fail. You're going to go bankrupt. You're going to lose your reputation.
Mhm.
You've probably been kind of programmed to think that way about
Yep.
business ownership. And I mean, there is truth in the risk factor. Starting a business is risky. But when you're thinking about franchising, you're removing a significant portion of that risk, or you're at least mitigating that risk. Think of it this way. Betty and Barney could open up their burger bonanza on the corner of Birch and Broadway and serve hamburgers and French fries and, hope to do really well. But nobody knows Betty and Barney. They don't know what their hamburgers taste like. They may not even know where the corner of Birch and Broadway is. So they're exposing themselves to a very high level of risk. They have no brand awareness. They have all of their systems and processes and procedures and menu items and all of this they're going to be figuring out as they go, stumbling some along the way, doing some trial and error, making some mistakes, some of them probably costly and very impactful to their bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And those type of businesses do have a higher risk rate, a higher failure rate. But whenever you are thinking about a franchise, you are getting a business in a box. You and I talked about this on my podcast. You're getting a business in a box with a brand name that is already recognized, at least regionally, possibly nationally,
Mm-hmm.
possibly even globally. So, nobody knows what Betty and Barney's burgers at the corner of Birch and Broadway taste like, but everybody knows what a Burger King hamburger tastes like. So, you've got that brand awareness, and you have systems and processes and procedures that have already been tested, likely for many years, and proven to work, and now are being replicated many, many times over around the country. So you don't have to figure all this stuff out. It's in the box. It's in the operations manual. It's taught to you in your training, before you even have your grand opening. So that is all handed to you. And the third thing I would mention with franchising anyway is you're not alone. You're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. Betty and Barney, they're by themselves at the corner of Birch and Broadway.
Yeah.
It's a lot of alliteration in this conversation, but with the franchise system, you've got a whole headquarters that is supporting you. And you also have this peer community of fellow franchise owners, regionally, nationally, globally, who are now in this with you, that you can build relationships with and learn from and support one another. So if you're thinking about franchising, relax. Okay. Work the process, partner with a broker like myself, because we're going to guide you through every step of the way. The franchise company that we introduce you to, at least with my brokerage, is going to be a solid, reputable company with a reputation for taking great care of their franchise owners. So you're going to be very well taken care of there. We're going to guide you through the whole process, and we're all going to work together to make the dream of business ownership a reality. It's going to be hard work. You're going to have to put a lot of time and energy into it and some financial resources, but the risk is much lower, and the reward can be much higher.
Wow. That is some serious insight. I like that. I wish I could have, written that all down just to put, I like that on a poster. It'd be a really big poster.
It would be a big poster.
No, I couldn't agree more. That's all I'm trying to say. I really every single key point that you hit there. And, ultimately the support side, I think is just, there's so much that franchise candidates, there's going to be somewhat, you're going to figure it out on your own. You're not going to go to them, hey, how do I upload this document? Right. It's like, there's some stuff you're going to learn on your own, but it's the big stuff, right? Hey, it's a rain day and I'm in a service industry. What do I do? Like, how do I pay my guys when I'm not going to be making any money? That's the stuff that you don't have to experience that on your own. If you're working with a business that's been open for 18 years, there's almost a really, really good chance that they've had a rain day and they've had to figure that out. Right. So I think that that's a really cool experience. And just to have the individuals on that team to be able to reach out to, it's like, you're never alone in this. Right. And ultimately, the franchisor support, the franchisor's success is the franchisee's success. So leaving you high and dry is not something that they want to do. They want to, they're not there to sign you and drop you and say, here's the manual, learn it on your own. Good franchisors are going to be there for you. And I think that's super crucial. So great job.
100%. There. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, hey, as we go through this, we're getting close to wrapping up here. I do want to give you an opportunity. If you were to sum everything up, whether it's a nugget of wisdom, a key takeaway for anybody who's, thinking about business ownership, what would you leave with those listeners to kind of guide them down that path?
Yeah, so I certainly want to admit to having some biases here, but in my opinion, and I'm saying this sincerely as someone who has spent 30 years in the corporate world, who has gone through position eliminations, downsizing, all of the pain that comes with, being in the corporate world, I sincerely believe that business ownership really is the best investment that you can make in yourself. You think about, and again, I'm going back to the programming that we all received when we were growing up. We're programmed to believe that the college degree hanging on the wall, the employment with a company, and the paycheck that drops into our account every other week is our security. It isn't, man. It isn't. Okay. That this happens every day. People walk into work just for another day of work, and that's their last day on the job.
Yep.
That's their last day there because economic conditions cause their position to be eliminated, or their job was shipped overseas, or some change, COVID. Yeah. COVID, or a change in the CEO C-suite corner of the building, or there isn't as much security in a paycheck as you think there is. The greatest security that I believe we can find is through investing in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
learning what all that we can learn to make ourselves, to bring more value into the world,
Mm-hmm.
to position ourselves to really change the world around us, to find those needs and those pain points that we can provide answers and solutions to, and then invest in ourselves to meet those needs and provide those solutions. So if you're thinking about business ownership, I think you're heading down the right road. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly do. And it's not I mean, for most, there are some people out there who just aren't equipped to be business owners, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the majority of us, the question isn't, should I have my own business? The question is, what was I put here on this planet to do?
Mm-hmm.
Remembering who you are, why you're here, and then setting yourself free to be and do it. You're going to be more secure. You're going to be happier. You're going to be healthier. And you're just going to love life more. And that's I think the last thing that I would leave the group with.
Yeah, woo! I'm ready to buy a franchise. I don't know about you. Nah, man, that was really good. I loved absolutely everything you had to say there. I think that you really do, show your true side and show your nature of being someone who wants to support somebody and be there for them, not just at the beginning and not just at the end. You want to be there for the entirety of their experience as a
Mhm.
franchisor. And I can definitely tell that you take this to heart and you're serious about this. So it's not just some side gig that you have. This is what your life is, and you're ready to help other people change their lives. And I think that is super cool. So thank you, man. Thank you so much for that. So next, what I'm going to do here, little surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
We got this little
Now,
segment I like to call the Ask Chat GPT. So basically what I've done is I've gone through and I've asked Chat GPT to put me in a situation, well, put you in a situation that's just, that's a weird situation. So I've asked it to give us two different outcomes, and you got to choose the outcome, right, William? We got to find out, what you're about. And so we're about to learn a little bit more about you.
I'm just glad you weren't going to ask me to stand up because I'm wearing pajamas from the waist down.
That's all right. I'm doing the exact same thing. Drinking a beer at my house on a Thursday afternoon, and I am in sweatpants. Hey, so, all right, you ready for this? You're at an eccentric art gallery known for its interactive exhibits. In front of you are two doorways, each leading to a distinct experience. One doorway is adorned with neon lights and emits a faint sound of lively jazz music. It promises a vibrant, chaotic room where you'll be a part of a live improvise. Oh, wow, I can't read. Improvisational painting with splashes of colorful paint flying in every direction. The other door is shrouded in a soft, calming glow. You hear the sound of a soothing, tranquil forest, and this path leads to a serene Zen garden where you'll engage in the ancient art of sand raking and meditation, creating your own calming masterpiece. You must now decide whether to embrace the wild creativity of the paint-splattered adventure or immerse yourself in a peaceful artistry of a Zen garden.
This is such an easy answer for me because, like, in the living room, I have my essential oil diffuser. I have candles. I've even got a Zen sand garden somewhere around here. I haven't unpacked it from my last move. So, brother, I'm going Zen.
He's going Zen garden. I like that for you. I had a feeling that you were gonna go Zen garden, but I had to ask you and had to make sure.
My
Okay.
background here is probably a kind of a giveaway.
Yeah. I love it, man. Very what is it? Feng shui. The feng shui
Yeah.
is on point right there. I love it. Now, hey, good for you, William, going to that Zen garden. Every now and then we do want to jump into a painting and be a little crazy, but I'm about that life too. Sometimes I just, it's a busy life out here. I just want to relax, calm down. That's why I have the franchise happy hour. We drink beer, talk about the world of franchising, and
Yep.
then we create success for all kinds of future entrepreneurs. So, hey, thank you so much, William. Thank you for being
Well,
a
wait, wait,
part
wait,
of
wait,
this.
wait a minute. what's the prize for picking the Zen door? Like, are you going to award me a Joshua Tree territory or something?
Oh, yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this podcast on Spotify.
That's the prize. Okay.
I'll actually publish this one, right? All the other ones that I didn't actually publish. No, I got an idea. How about this? You come up for our FBA Discovery Day that we are going to be hosting here early next year. And we'll crack a cold one, and I'll bring 6 Dos Equis. So that way, you can get real loose and go to your Zen garden.
Man, I couldn't have asked for anything better, brother. Thank you.
That's no problem. I can absolutely do that. That's a for me. I love it. Well, hey, thank you very much, Will. I appreciate your time here. I know you're a busy man, but it's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you. So thank you so much, buddy.
Dylan, it's been amazing getting to know you and Joshua over the last couple of months. You guys are doing amazing work. I can't wait to send some candidates your way. And hey, it's a real honor for me to be on your podcast. Thank you for thinking of me.
Absolutely. So I do want to leave one thing here. Hey, if you resonate well with William and, his style of talking about franchising and taking you through that process, and you want someone to be there throughout not only the beginning of your franchising experience, but all the way up until the very bitter end when you're laying on your deathbed and he's still right there and you're saying, thank you, William, for giving me that franchise opportunity. William, how do the people contact you? What's the best way?
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Dylan. So my website is quantumfranchisegroup.com. My phone number is 815-885-5475. My email is william@quantumfranchisegroup.com. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. The next big name in franchise consulting is definitely William Huffine. I love it so much. Thank you so much, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine. And hey, cheers to you. Cheers to me, and cheers to franchise success.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.